YouTube. This is Portia from Life with Portia, coming to you with a coffee break this morning. Today is National Hot Dog Day. We will put a link in somewhere on here to let you know what it's all about. But I wanted to do that first before I forgot it. It is National Hot Dog Day, so for you all that like hot dogs, I wanted to give you that information. You'll find discounts out there today on hot dogs. I couldn't find any free hot dogs, but they have places that have discounts, and I think Sonic's has free, not free, but $1 hot dogs. And disclaimer, no, I'm not getting paid for mentioning any company. When I do start getting paid, I will let you know. But I'm coming to you with a story that I heard last night. And I wanted to share it with you. There was a shepherd in a field. And, yeah, I'm in my big brown today, as you can see. Not outdoors today. I wanted to sit here in my big brown and have my coffee break while telling you the story. So, here we go. There was a shepherd out in a field somewhere out in Africa. Now, you know, shepherds have sheep, and you have them in several countries. Yeah. I need a full cup of coffee, y'all. I need a whole pot this morning, believe me. But anyway, as he was in the field, he heard something ring out in the background, and he went to see what was going on. He looked at his sheep, and it seemed like all of them were there, but he thought he heard the sound of a rifle or shot going off. And so he went out. He left his helper there with the sheep, and he went out into the bush to see what was going on. And as he went out, he saw hunters dragging off a female lion. And he got back in the bush because he didn't want them to see him, because it was illegal to kill lions in that particular part of that land. Lions were treasured. So he hid, and he saw them go off. So as he was going back to his sheep, the hunters didn't see him. He went back to his sheep, and on the way back, he heard just a little sound and a little rustle in the bush. So he went to see what was going on. He thought maybe one of his sheep had gotten loose and followed him into the bush. But to his surprise, there was a newborn baby lion there, a male, and he lay there helpless. The mother had just had him, looked like maybe a day or two before, and she had gone out to actually find food for him. And on her way out, they shot her. And that's where he came in the picture. So he took up the baby lion and brought it with him. He was going to take care of it, nurse it until it got big and strong. Then he was going to let it go in the wild, back among its own. What happened was that he got it there, and he nursed it back and everything, and it got strong. And after a couple of months, you know, he was pouncing around, and he was happy, and he fit in with the sheep. He didn't want to eat the sheep. He wanted to frolic and play with the sheep. So he allowed him to do it. He said, well, I'll keep him a while. As he gets bigger, if I see where he's going to be a danger to my sheep, then I will take him and, place him in the wild so that he can be among his own. 6 more months passed by. He was still frolicking with the sheep. Even though he was a little bit bigger, he was frolicking with the sheep. And he looked one day, and even though he was a little bigger than the sheep would go, bah, and the lion would go, bah. And the shepherd was just amazed. But then he realized, you become who you are with. If you are raised up with sheep, then that's what you're going to be like. There's nothing wrong with being a sheep if you're a sheep. But if you're a lion, you don't need to be out there hollering, bah. He said, oh my goodness. He said he has literally been around them so much that he has actually almost became one. He is a lion, but he's acting like a sheep, and he knew then that he could not put him in the wild because he would be killed. So he kept him, and one day he decided it's time to take my sheep by the lake. Not a very deep lake, just a little shallow lake, because his sheep was thirsty. So he took them all out, he and his helper took them all out, and while they were sitting back on a rock resting, and the sheep were there, and they were grazing in the grass, and they were drinking water from the lake, all of a sudden, a lion came out of the thicket, because the lake was there, but around the lake was bush and thickened trees and bushes and, places that lions hang out at. So all the sheep saw them. They lifted their head and they saw them. And so they moved back toward the shepherd, because sheep are automatically scared of lions. But the lion that they were with, they weren't, because he may have looked like a lion, but when he opened his mouth, he sounded like them. So they were used to him. But when this lion came out of the bush, he didn't say anything. He was looking. You know how lions do, and the shoulders are up, and they're moving, and they're looking, they're scouting to see what they can find to eat. And the lion just stood there. He didn't know to move. He just looked up and said, what is going on with them? See, he didn't realize that he was seeing his image, because he had already looked in the water, and he knew that there was something different, but he sounded like the sheep. So he figured he was a sheep. On this day, when he looked down, and he looked up, then he looked down, and he looked up, and he recognized that he looked like this thing coming out of the bush. He was curious. So when the lion roared, he opened his mouth and he roared. And the little sheep just jumped back, because he didn't know what was going on, because that thing did not sound like him. So what happened was that he got curious, and he stepped a little bit forward, and the big lion stepped before him. And so the little lion said, well, let me see something. Let me try that. It was just so amazing to him. So he mustered up some strength, and he went down and he breathed, and out of his mouth came, bah. And the big lion looked at him like, what the? And the little sheep said, oh my. So the lion looked at the the little lion said, oh my. So the big lion looked at the little lion, and he roared again, as if to say, this is what you're supposed to sound like. So he roared again, this time louder. And it was like the sheep again just kind of shook himself like, wow, what power. So again, he mustered up, got his little chest up, and said, bah. And he was so disappointed in himself. So as the big lion came toward him, he looked at him. He said, he looks like me, but he sounds like a sheep, so he must be a sheep, because he could see the other sheep off into a distance. So the big lion said, well, I'm going to have lunch. So as he got about 2 feet away from the little lion, who was about to be eaten because he was baying like a sheep, all of a sudden he got scared. Fear came upon him because he knew what was about to happen. He could see it in the big lion's eyes. And the lion came, and just as he got about 2 feet away from him, he went, roar! And this time, in fear, the little lion went, I'm going to do this. And he went, roar! And when he did, he scared himself. But then he looked at the lion and he looked down. He said, I want him. Then he looked back. He said, but that's my family. And the big lion looked at him as if to say, you want to come with me? And the big lion stepped back 2 steps, turned around, and was heading off into the bush. And the little lion stood there and said, well, I can't leave my family. This is my family. Though they're sheep, that's my family. And he looked at the shepherd. He loved the shepherd so much because the shepherd saved him. The shepherd fed him. He didn't have to do anything on his own. He was fed. He was sheared. He was taken care of. But he didn't realize what was out there in the bush. That was scary. But the lion turned around again and looked at him, and as to say, come on. So he looked back, and he looked at the lion, and he decided to go with the lion. So they went off into the bush, shoulders moving, head up high. The mane that a lion has is just like a royal crown, and he felt proud to be one. He took one last look back at his family and knew that he didn't belong there. The moral of this story is, who are you? Are you a lion or are you a sparrow among eagles? Are you out of place? Is your potential hidden? Is your true identity hidden? It's time for you to find out. The end of the story goes, the little lion looked back, and then he looked up. He will miss his family. But now he knows that he is one of the king of the beasts of the forest. And he was proud of himself. And he marched off with the big lion, knowing who he is. He had found his potential. He knew who he was. It's time for you to find out who you are. This is Portia from Life with Portia saying, Jesus is my Lord. Is he yours? And if not, why not? Love you so much. Mwah.